Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and for today's video we're going to tackle about the chapter 11, which entitled Build a Small Network. So in this chapter we will be dealing with the in how to identify the devices used in a small network. Also, we need to identify the protocols used in a small network and explain how small network serves a basis for of a larger network. So basically in this chapter, we're going to use all of what we learned from the previous chapter in the NetACAD. So we're just going to combine all of them and able to address the chapter 11. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to discuss is the small network topologies. So typically, a small business network is a small networks have a simple designs and only a small numbers of network devices are needed. A small network usually comprises of one router and a couple of switches and the user's PC. And the connections to internet is achieved through a single one link. Most of the managing task is related to maintaining and troubleshooting existing equipment. And the management of a small network is usually done by an employee of a third-party company. So next thing that we're going to discuss is the two device selection for a small network. So there are also factors to consider when choosing a device in addition to those listed in the graphic. Includes in the OS features is the security, L3 switching, QoS, and VoIP. And next is the IP addressing for a small network. So all devices space is crucial component of a network design. So all devices connected to network requires an address, of course, and address scheme must be planned. So it also should be documented and maintained. So address space documentation can be very useful when it comes to troubleshooting. So address communication is also very important when in terms in controlling the resources access. So that's all about the IP addressing for small network. So next is the redundancy in small network. So redundancy to a server farm. A network should reliable by design. Also, network failures are usually very costly, and redundancy increase reliability by eliminating single points of failure. So, network redundancy can be achieved by duplicating network uh, equipment and links. So, a good example is a network's link to the internet or to the server farm. And next is the traffic management. So, traffic type and patterns are should be considered when designing a network. So, a good network design categorizes traffic according to priority. So, when it comes to small network application and protocols, so there are common applications here. There is a network application and the common protocols. So in the network applications, it is used to communicate over the network. So also in the email clients and web browsers are example of this type of application. So application and application layer services. So here in the application layer services, programs that are interface with the network and prepare the data for transfer. So when that happen, each service use protocols which define the strands and data formats to be used. And let's go to also here the common protocols are each of these network protocols define process on either end of the communication session and how the message are sent and the expected response and the type of message, syntax of the message, meaning of information fields, and the interaction with the next lower layer. So, and of course, we're gonna be dealing with the real-time applications. So here there are basic components, which are the real-time application, IP telephony, and BOP IP, and the infrastructure. Next is the scale to large network. So in supporting and growing a small network requires being familiar with the protocols and the network applications running over the network. So protocol analysis enable a network professional to quickly compile statistically information about traffic flows and on the network. So information which gathered by the protocol analyzer is evaluated based on the source and the destination of the traffic as well as the type of traffic being sent. So this analysis can be used by a network technician to make decisions on how to manage the traffic more efficiently. So common network protocols includes the DNS, Telnet, SMTP, POP, DHCP, HTTP, and the FTP. And next thing that we're going to tackle is the network security. So there are three primary vulnerabilities. So the technological configurations and the security policy. So the technological part, vulnerabilities in protocols is operating system and network equipment. While in the configuration, vulnerabilities created by the misconfigured devices, default configuration values, and also in the and easily guessed password. In the security policy, lack of security policy and software and hardware installation is not consistent with the security policy. So, and there is no disaster or recovery plan. Typically, the device under attack are the endpoints such as server and desktop computers. So, any of these three vulnerabilities can be exploited and used in attacks. So there are also the type of malwares that should be avoided, which is the viruses, worms, and Trojan sources. So this type of malware can give you a real problem in your devices when this malware invaded your devices. So it is a necessity to consider security threats and vulnerabilities when planning a network implementation. So all network devices must be secured. This includes routers, switches, and users devices, and even security devices. So networks need to be protected from malicious software such as virus, Trojan horses, and worms, the malware that I've already talked about earlier. So it's also better to have antivirus software that can detect most virus and many Trojan horse applications that will prevent them from spreading in the network or in the device. So the most effective way to mitigate a worm attack is to download a security update from the operating system vendor and patch all the vulnerable system. So when kind of so uh, next is to uh, network attack mitigation. So to avoid being attacked by malware, the network or the devices, it is important to back up, upgrade, update, and patch your devices. Why? Because keeping up to date with the latest developments can lead to more effective defense against the network attacks or the device attacks. So a new malware is released, so enterprises needs to keep current with the latest versions of the antivirus software since in every year or in every month the other people is making malwares just to invade or to destroy the system of other persons that are using the devices over a network. So, for example, to mitigate the worm attacks, patches for all known vulnerabilities must be applied. So, a central patch server can be a good solution for managing a large number of server and systems. So, any patch that are not applied to a host are automatically downloaded from the patch server and installed without user intervention. And network must also be protected from network attacks, since network attacks can be classified into three major categories, which is the reconnaissance, access attacks, and denial of service. And so the other infos on the Cisco iOS devices, when it comes to configuration, the show version command can be used to verify and to troubleshoot some of the basic hardware and software components used during the boot process. So, for example, if you want to view information for all of the network interfaces on a router, the show IP interface command is used. And when you want to show an IP interface brief, can also be used to view more abbreviated output that than the show IP interface command. And Cisco iOS configuration files such as startup config or running config should be archived. So these files can be saved to a text file or stored in a TFTP server. Some of models of the routers also have a USB port, and file can be backed up to the USB drive if needed. So these files can be copied to the router and or switch from the TFT server or to the USB drive. So that's it is for this chapter 11. So just like while I said ago, so all of the you learned or you acquired the knowledge that you acquired in the previous chapter from 0 to 10 will be combined or here in chapter 11. So basically that is all about in this chapter. So if you learn something in this chapter and help you to your CSE studies, please support my channel and leave a like and share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.